Hello friends, welcome to today's nourishing yoga flow. We are going to begin with some gentle grounded movements before we work into stretching, standing, twisting from all angles to help us replenish and revitalize our mind, body and soul. When you're ready, afford yourself a moment to find a comfortable seated position, allowing the shoulders to roll away from the ears, softening the facial muscles, tuning into the breath. And if you notice that the mind is beginning to wander, perhaps you might like to hone in your attention on an affirmation. Maybe it's a single word, a feeling that you would like to embody. Recognizing your efforts for showing up here today. Letting go of any tension. On your next inhale, we'll begin to extend our arms overhead, joining our palms together. Exhale, gently lower them to heart center. We'll take 3 cleansing breaths to start practice. Slow, gradual inhalations through the nostrils and exhaling through the mouth. We'll begin class with a seated spinal twist. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, twisting to the left, tenting up onto the right fingertips behind you, placing the outer edge of that right hand on the left thigh, maybe gazing over that left shoulder. 3 breaths here. Feel yourself growing longer with every inhalation and seeing if you can twist a little more with every exhalation. Gently release, and we will swap the cross of our legs and take the twist on the other side. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, twist the torso to the right, lowering the arms. Outer edge of the left hand is resting against the right thigh and tenting up onto the right fingertips behind you. 3 breaths. Exhale, gently release. From here, we'll take a seated side body stretch, walking the fingertips out to the left, maybe lowering onto the forearm, extending the right arm overhead, broadening across the shoulders. Exhale, back to center, roll the shoulders back, and we'll go on the other side, walking the fingertips out, lowering onto the forearm and extending the left arm overhead. Being mindful to keep the sits bones grounded in contact with the surface beneath you. And again, flowing at your own rhythm. Warming up the obliques, the core, the posterior chain. Seeing if you can unclench the jaw. If one side feels a little interesting, you might like to hang out there for a little longer, remembering that it's always okay to modify this practice and make it your own. From here, we'll scoop our chest forward, coming up in a circular motion, maybe finding a bit of a back bend, broadening across the heart space, scooping forward and around, warming up from all angles, becoming mindfully aware of the various processes that are going on in the body that are enabling us to move with such ease. When you're ready, we'll come to face the short edge of our mat on all fours, coming into tabletop position, Wrists are underneath shoulders. You might like to tuck the toes for support. Knees are hip width distance apart, hips are squared. Core is engaged. Mindfully rotating the triceps backwards and bringing the biceps forward, maybe keeping a micro bend in the elbows. On your next inhale, scoop the chest forward, lift the chin up as we come into cow pose. Exhale, curl the spine and round, drawing the chin to the chest, navel engaged, cat pose. A few more rounds like this, finding your rhythm. When you exhale and round, push into the palms to help you lift up and out of the shoulders, creating space along the back body. Mindfully tilting and tucking the pelvis. Feel yourself moving like a wave in the ocean. When you feel that your spine is sufficiently warm, we're going to tuck our right toes under, extending the leg back. Keeping the hips squared, you might like to shift your weight forwards and backwards. And on your next inhale, we are going to float our right leg up so that it's in line with hip height. Keeping the leg engaged, foot is flexed. The toes and kneecap are facing towards the surface beneath you. Really squeezing everything together here. And you might like to extend your left arm at shoulder height, palm facing towards the midline as we come into bird dog. Really working on drawing that navel towards the spine, finding length along the back of the neck, softening the muscles of the face. Breathe. This is a great way to remain close to the ground, feeling supported while we work on strengthening and improving our stability. Lowering the left arm down, we'll pulse that right leg up, keeping it extended, small movements, really using the gluteus maximus here to help lift that entire leg, activating the hamstring. Small movements. We're here for a little bit longer. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the leg up and hold. Static lift. 1 breath. Exhale, gently release, lowering the right knee down. We'll take 1 round of cat and cow to neutralize the spine. And we'll get set up to go on the other side. Tucking the left toes under. Extending the left leg back. Maybe rocking the hips forwards and backwards a few times. Stretching out the calf muscle. And on your next inhale, we'll gently float our left leg up in line with hip height, keeping the foot flexed. Toes and knees are pointed to the earth. Checking in with that engagement. Is the core switched on? Can you lift that leg a little higher? And either staying here or joining us in bird dog, extending the right arm at shoulder height, palm facing towards the midline. Evenly distributing the weight across the left palm and the right foot, the shin, the knee. Two more slow and gradual breaths in this posture. And from here, we will lower the right palm down under the shoulder and begin to create those small pulses with the left leg. Lifting the entire leg, activating everything together, and really flexing that foot, feeling as though your leg is growing longer. Small movements, keep that leg elevated, you've got this. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the leg up and hold. Breathe. 1 more breath. And gently lower the left knee down into tabletop position. You might like to tap out the tops of the feet once or twice. And we'll take another round of cat and cow. From here, tucking the toes under, walking the fingertips out a few inches. We'll push our hips up as we come into Adho Mukha Sranasana, downward facing dog. You might like to bend the knees considerably, finding any modifications or adjustments that you like. Perhaps rolling the hips out, flexing one knee, extending the other. Being mindful of the upper body, grounding down through the knuckles, the palms, the fingertips, arms are activated, shoulder blades are rolled back and down away from the ears. Core is on, navel drawing towards the spine. 3 breaths here. Slowly beginning to walk your feet to the top of the mat, taking as many steps as you like as we come into a forward fold, bending the knees considerably, sinking back on the heels, allowing the belly to rest on the chest, and if you'd like, interlacing your fingers behind your back, extending your arms, drawing your hands towards the earth, feeling a lovely stretch along the shoulders, perhaps a deeper stretch in the lower back. One more breath. And releasing the bind, placing your palms by your sides. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bend the knees. And again, halfway lift, finding length along the back. Exhale, fold. Once more, halfway lift. You might like to place the palms on the shins. Exhale, fold. And we'll begin to roll up one vertebra at a time, keeping the knees bent. Head and neck coming up last. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, lower the palms to heart center. Inhale, float the arms down by your side. Taking a moment in mountain pose. And again, inhale, extending the arms overhead. Exhale, lowering them to heart center. Inhale, re-extend the arms, float them out wide like bird wings. Exhale as we come into Utkatasana, chair pose. Arms are extended, feel yourself growing tall through the fingertips, through the crown of the head. Core is engaged, navel is drawn towards the spine. Inner thighs are activated, really working on sinking those hips back. How low can you get them? One more breath. Exhale, forward fold. You might like to extend the legs here if you're feeling slightly more open in the hamstrings, or you can bend your knees, it's entirely up to you. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, extend the legs. Exhale, fold, bending the knees. Once more, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and we'll begin to roll up to Tadasana, one vertebra at a time, taking as much space as you like, lowering the hands to heart center, and floating the arms down by your sides. Grounding here for a moment. Inhale, extend the arms overhead, lower your palms to heart center. And again, we will swan dive and take Utkatasana, chair pose. You might like to have your feet together this time. Ankles are touching, inner thighs are squeezing together. Breathing through any tension that might be building up. This is a wonderful posture to re-energize, cultivate a sense of focus, and let go of anything in the surrounding environment. Recognizing your connection to this present moment. One more breath. Exhale, forward fold, extending the legs. Maybe resting your belly, your chest on the tops of the thighs. Softening the face, relaxing the neck. One more breath. On your next inhale, we'll come into a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And again, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, coming into Tadasana. Extending the arms overhead, joining them together at heart center, and floating them down by your sides. Firmly establishing yourself in mountain pose. You might like to place your hands on your hips. We're going to flex our left knee, raising it to hip height, maybe joining the palms together. And we're going to hinge our torso forward, hinging from the hips as we extend our left leg back with control, placing the back foot down on an angle, heel in, toes out as we come into Warrior One Virabhadrasana. Front knee, the right knee is in line with the ankle. Really working on scissoring those inner thighs together so that we're lifting up and out of the pelvic bowl. Doing your best to square both of the hips to the front of the mat. Core is engaged. You might like to join the palms together, We're broadening across the chest, the collarbones, perhaps finding a slight back bend in the thoracic region of the spine if that's in your practice. One more breath here, and we'll pivot to face the left side of our mat as we come into Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Arms are engaged, extended out long at shoulder height, rolling the shoulders back and down, finding length through the crown of the head. The back leg, the left leg, is relatively parallel with the short edge of the mat. The right toes are pointing towards the top edge of the mat, knees in line with the ankle, and again finding a slight tuck of the pelvis so that we're protecting our lower back here, drawing the navel towards the spine, seeing if you can sink those legs a little lower. Breathe. From here, we're going to transition into extended side angle. We're going to lower our right forearm onto our right leg, extending the left arm over. This is a wonderful way to strengthen the obliques, the abdominals, the outer thighs. The whole body is working here to keep us balanced. Reminding yourself of your connection to this moment. One more breath. Exhale, return to Warrior 2 as a transition, and we'll lean back in Peaceful Warrior, extending our right arm overhead, left arm is on the left leg. Cartwheel the arms forward, frame the front foot. Step the left foot up to meet the right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Once more, inhale, halfway lift, extending the legs. Exhale, forward fold. And we'll roll up to Tadasana, one vertebra at a time, knees are bent. Extending the arms overhead, growing taller. Exhale, lower the hands to heart center and float them down by your side. We'll get ready to go on the other side, grounding down through the left leg, finding a hand gesture that's conducive with stability. And we'll flex our right knee, raising our knee to hip height, keeping a slight micro bend in the left leg, hinging forward, and with control, slowly guiding that right leg back. Placing the right foot down on an angle as we come into Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana. If you need to adjust your stance, know that that is okay. You are never resigned to one static posture. You can mix things up, move them around. Feel what works for you in this moment. Appreciating that every day is different. Showing up to how you are feeling right now. Tuning into the breath. Settling into the posture. One more breath, and with control we'll pivot on that back leg as we transition into Warrior 2. Again, taking any modifications. Arms are extended out long, core is engaged, facial muscles are soft. You might like to test out a smile and see how that feels. Finding ease, grounding yourself. Two more breaths in Warrior 2. Beginning to lower the left arm down onto the left leg, extending the right arm overhead as we come into extended side angle. And if you wobble around, that is okay. An opportunity to re-equilibrate, find your focal point, find your center of gravity. Maybe gazing up. Really working on opening across the chest, the shoulders, allowing yourself to release any stored emotions from the heart space. One more breath here. And transitioning through Warrior Two. Extending the right fingertips down the back leg as we extend our left arm overhead. One breath here. Cartwheeling the arms forward to frame the front foot. Step the right leg up to meet the left, forward fold. Inhale, extend the legs, halfway lift, maybe placing the fingertips on the shins. Exhale, forward fold. Twice more. Finding your rhythm. From here, we'll widen our stance slightly, sink our hips back as we come into Malasana, Yogi squat. Heels in, toes out. You might like to join your palms together or place them on the floor for support. Really using the triceps to press into the inner thighs, allowing you to widen the legs, stretch into the groin, the inner thighs. If this posture proves a little challenging, you might like to place a cushion, a block underneath your sits bones. Anything that facilitates a state of relaxation. This is a great posture for digestion, stimulating the digestive organs, metabolic processes. 3 breaths here. And with control, maybe using your hands for support, we'll lower our sits bones onto the ground as we come into a seated position, facing the long edge of our mat. We're going to keep our right leg crossed, extending our left leg out on an angle as we come into Parivrtta Janu Sirsasana, revolved head to knee pose. And we'll lower our left arm down on the inside of that left leg, extending the right arm overhead. If it's in your practice, you might like to guide your right fingertips to rest atop of your left toes. Being mindful to keep both sits bones connected with the surface beneath you, and really working on stacking the shoulders so that we're broadening across the chest. This is an expansive posture, slight activation of the core so that we're protecting our back. Unclenching the jaw. One more breath. Exhale, release to an upright seated position, crossing the left leg in, and we'll extend the right leg out as we take this posture on the other side. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, we'll lower our right arm down on the inner side of that right leg, extending our left arm overhead, finding that side body stretch. Letting go. This is a wonderful posture to stretch deep into the quadratus lumbar, the sides and the lower back. Really great posture for anyone who spends a large portion of the day sitting down. Moving our body in all different directions, creating space, finding comfort. Final breath. And working your way upright to a seated position. Floating the arms down by your side, we're going to transition to face the short edge of the mat as we come into a modified Pashimothanasana. Seated forward bend, we're going to keep our knees bent considerably. Feet are flexed, really allowing your belly and your chest to melt on top of the thighs, keeping them in contact with one another as you hinge from the hips, maybe placing the palms around the underside of the feet. And just resting here, creating space along the back body. And if it's in your practice, you might like to slowly walk the legs out slightly or begin to extend the knees towards the floor. If that's not happening for you, that is okay. Take any modifications that you'd like. Breathe. One more breath. And beginning to work your way to an upright seated position, we'll come onto hands and knees, Transitioning into hero pose, Virasana. So we're going to scoop the fleshy part of our calves out from under our thighs, allowing our sits bones to rest between our legs, and either stay in an upright position, or you might like to take a reclined variation, lowering yourself back, resting on the forearms. Elbows are underneath shoulders, fingertips are facing towards the feet, allowing the face to soften, maybe relaxing the head back. Broadening across the chest. Either staying here for as long as you like or joining us in an upright seated position, rolling the shoulders back, palms in your lap, softening the face, maybe closing the eyes. Re-establishing your connection to the breath. On your next inhale, extend your arms overhead, joining the palms together. Exhale, lowering them to heart center. And we'll take 3 cleansing breaths to close practice. Inhaling through the nostrils, exhaling through the mouth. Thank you all so much for today. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.